What's up guys, Vulkan here, and today we're jumping back into Torchlight 3 for their latest update called Gear and Goblins. This update brings new modifiers for endgame, new loot, and fixes one of the biggest problems that I had with the game, and that's respecs. So, we have two new legendary weapons and a new legendary gear set that can only be found in Fizier's dungeon. And this new loot finally brings some interesting effects into the game that I think would be really cool to build around. Let's get started with the weapons. So the two new weapons we have are the Lightning Baller Mace and the Sword of the Lost Legion. The mace grants the player a new skill that can be used called Ball Lightning, which fires a large shock bolt and then shoots off smaller bolts hitting things around it. And now, the thing is, if you pair this with like Electrode and a shock build, you're going to clear screens with massive AoE damage. I mean, the shock and kind of AoE that comes with Electrode right now is big, so imagine if you can have another ability that's primarily going to shoot off extra bolts and going to just carve through a group of enemies. So I haven't got my hands on this quite yet. I've been grinding for it because this is going to fit perfectly into my Railmaster build. So once I get it, I'll be doing a build video and a review on that. But this is the one I'm really excited for. The other new weapon, the Sword of the Lost Legion, gives players the ability to summon a battalion of skeletons to fight with you for 20 seconds. And this plays well into summoner builds that have been cropping up lately and would work really kind of well with anything that offers a pet bonus. So I'm thinking if we pair this with the Necropupper pet skill that gives you extra skeletons, working with the Sharpshooter Adventurer tree, then we could see a big army just kind of rolling through zones that you can activate and deactivate whenever you want to. So overall, the weapons are pretty cool. I think there's a lot of build potential there, but the big ticket item is the new armor set, the Ancient Ember gear set. This set revolves around making your relic as powerful as it can possibly be with triggers, passives, and a new active ability called Imbue Relic. Now, Imbue Relic is really cool because it gives you 100% relic energy and resets all of your relic skill cooldowns. So if you're someone who leans heavily into relic skills, this set is going to help you maximize that and take it to the next level. So here are the effects that this set brings to the table. If you're hit below 25% health, you're going to cast your relic barrier skill. You have a chance on hit to cast a relic skill for free. If you're channeling a relic skill like an aura or a barrier skill, then you're going to spawn earth spikes to damage nearby enemies. If you cast a certain relic skill, you're going to have a chance to regain even more relic energy. And when you cast your finisher skill like 1000 Volt Burst, you have a 50% chance to gain a shrine effect. And just to be clear, when I say a certain skill, a certain relic skill or a channeled skill, that's because this set is going to change depending on what relic you have selected. So for instance, my barrier skill is Lightning Barrier, but for other relics, it's going to be something completely different. So if you manage to get this full gear set and you fully equip it, all your pieces are going to gain additional passive bonuses. And those passive bonuses are pretty powerful. So firstly, we have Imbue Relic, which is the new skill you get for this set. It gives you 100% relic energy and resets all of your relic skill cooldowns. If you cast that, it now makes your finisher relic skill immediately available to cast, which is fantastic because typically you have to build up or spend at least 200 relic energy, which is 2 full bars, in order to cast your finisher. But now you're going to have a little bit more control over when you can cast that big finisher skill. You'll also be able to cut your self-cast barrier skill cooldown in half, double your chance to cast a relic skill on hit, your earth spikes will hit double the amount of enemies, and you'll have double the chance to trigger your relic energy gain. And lastly, when you cast your finisher, you will always gain a shrine effect instead of a 50% chance to gain that effect. So this set's going to be crazy good. If you can assemble all of the pieces, you have the right build, and you're building towards this set, you can have a very powerful build on your hands. But with that being said, if you don't really have any relic skills, you're not leaning into your relic too much, you really kind of stuck to your class trees, this isn't going to benefit you too much, but I really like the direction they're going with this, and I really want to see more effects like this in the future. This helps define a higher power fantasy than we can achieve today. But like I mentioned, this set is only available during endgame, so you're gonna have to get through the story and then get out there and start grinding for it. Same thing with the two new weapons. So moving into the next thing, they added some spooky pets to collect and fort decorations to grind out for Halloween. Now the pets are only cosmetic, so don't expect any new skills or anything like that, but they do help give some variety to what's out there. Hopefully we'll see more of this during all of the holidays, give the collectors some more rare versions to chase after. Some holiday specific versions would be kind of cool. So let's go ahead and flip over to in-game really quick. We have two new modifiers to work with, one negative and one positive. And looking at this example card they gave us, Anchored is the new negative modifier. This disables movement skills. Now this doesn't mean you can't move your character, right? It just means you can't use charges, dodges, or like teleports like Sharpshooter's Ghost Visage skill. So if you're someone running like a glass cannon build, this can be pretty devastating, and you're really gonna have to watch your step and make sure you don't put yourself in a situation where you're boxed in. Now, the other modifier is called Essential, and this allows monsters to drop essence, and the boss guarantees a legendary essence drop. And essences are used for enchanting, and they come in handy deeper into endgame once you start getting some gear you really want to build around, you want to keep for a longer period of time. And because this enchanting system is pretty much 100% RNG, you're most likely going to be blowing through essence like crazy because you're trying to get the rolls you need. Do you want defense? Do you want extra bleeds? Do you want freeze? There's a whole lot of different things you can roll for, so you're going to need a lot of essences to get what you specifically need. And the only other way to acquire essence right now is to break down your gear, so this is a great way to supplement that, and if you need extra essence, you can always choose that modifier. It's also worth mentioning that these affixes don't always come together. They can appear with any other affix on any card. This is just an example card that Torchlight devs put together to show off the new modifiers coming. Okay, so the last big thing changes the way you reset your character, and I talked about this at the beginning of the video. They really kind of decided to tackle this problem head on. So before, you were dependent on boss drops and contracts to build up a stockpile of currency that you could then spend to refund skill points. Now they adjusted it so you can buy that currency directly from the potion vendor for 2,500 gold per point, which is pretty expensive, but it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make just to be able to reset my character much more frequently and easily than I had been before. So some of you might be wondering, why not just have the vendor reset all of your points at once? Well, so there's a few things that kind of play into that. One, they wanted to make this decision a big one. That has been the theme so far for most of the decisions with Torchlight. Relics, classes, skill points have been semi-permanent in the past, and they really kind of wanted to hold on to that. And secondly, a decent chunk of developers, including CEO Max Schaefer, hate respecs, just the whole notion of respecs, and they would prefer have decisions just be 100% permanent. And I get this point of view, right? It dates back to older video games and tabletop games. You were stuck with the decisions you made. You had to live with the decisions that you made, no matter how precise or flawed they were. But in today's world, people want to experiment more. They want to maximize their characters, and it's less about the journey and more about efficiency for most of the things in this genre. Being able to move things around is almost a necessity to achieve a certain level of success in a hack and slash, looter, action RPG, however you define these games these days. So I'm glad they went this direction. I mean, I would have done something a little bit different, but it's a positive move. And as a creator, this makes my job easier to create builds and create content and experiment rather than leveling 20 characters for all the relics, different build themes. This just makes it a little bit more simple. So they wrap this one up with the promise of larger content updates coming, which I hope might be a new end game, or perhaps they're going to try to chase down like a League approach that Path of Exile uses. I'm not entirely sure, but I want to hear from you guys. So what do you all think of the game so far? What builds have you been playing? Do you think a League approach would work well in Torchlight, or do you think they need to go and kind of try to create their own content updates? I'm not entirely sure, but I want to hear from you guys. So let's get comments going downstairs, and as always, this is Vulkan, and I'll talk to you guys next time.